I think if Cruz beats Trump, I mean, all these people coming out, where did they all come from and voting? Frankly, some of them came out to vote against Trump, but most of them came out to vote for Trump because he's a populist conservative. He's going to secure the border, make America great. All of these things, this positive, optimistic outlook. I think if Cruz takes it away from Trump, I think an awful lot of those folks just go home.
And that last line there is what we're talking about now. Pat Buchanan laying out a nightmare scenario for the Republican Party. With me now, the one who did that interview with Mr. Buchanan, Tucker Carlson, editor of the Daily Caller and a Fox News contributor. How you doing, brother?
Good morning, Bill.
That was from Hannity last night?
Yes, it was.
So you were the one hosting it, right?
Yes, I was.
Nice. A lot of these folks just go home.
Yes.
How's that going to work?
Nobody knows how this is going to work. I mean, clearly, the part that Pat Buchanan didn't mention was there are a lot of Republicans in Washington who are not going to vote for Trump, period, and many of whom won't vote for Cruz, and a lot of whom actually agree with Hillary Clinton on foreign policy in particular, probably vote for her, not vote. There is an unbridgeable gap between wings in the Republican Party now. The one thing I think we can be certain of is the party will bear really little resemblance to what it is now after this election is over. It should be a different party.
Really?
Yes.
What does that look like?
You know, it's going to be a party with a nationalist focus. It's going to have less neocon-inspired foreign policy, for sure. I think you're going to hear much less about entrepreneurship as and enterprise zones as the solution to poverty and middle-class wage stagnation. I think you're going to hear much more about immigration than you've heard. I mean, the truth is, both parties are kind of in sync on the immigration question. They're both for mass immigration. They're both hesitant to seal the borders. Turns out, we have just learned this year that there are a lot of Republicans and some conservative Democrats who are not on that page at all. They want controls at the borders, and they see mass immigration as a threat to wages. And I think the Republican Party is going to represent that.
That's a long think piece that's coming up real soon, I imagine. Look at this now. Fox polling from the other day. When asked whether or not who should be the nominee, 59% say whoever wins the most delegates.
That's right.
That's the argument Trump's making.
That is the argument, but you really need to flip the argument around. I mean, people say, well, the rules specify the guy with the majority wins. Okay, that's all true. The question is, can a guy who got fewer delegates make a plausible claim to the nomination? In other words, just because you got the plurality doesn't mean you're the nominee, but if not you, who? So can a guy who came in second or third say, yes, I did get fewer votes, but I somehow deserve this job? Or someone like Mitt Romney, who clearly would like the job, come in and say, I didn't win any votes, I didn't even run, give it to me. Same with Paul Ryan. I mean, the Democratic Party tried this in '68 with Hubert Humphrey, who didn't run in a single primary. They gave it to him, and it didn't end well.
Did you see Rove's piece in the Wall Street Journal yesterday? I mean, in the 1800s, second half of that century, this was common.
That's true.
This is how the party elected presidents.
We also didn't elect senators directly.
Sometimes there were candidates who weren't even on the ballot who eventually became the president.
The expectations of democracy were very different then. This was, of course, pre-communications age. He makes some really good points. Is that a plausible scenario this year? No, it's not. It's not plausible, actually.
When you are trying to build a party, and how many years have the Republicans talked about expanding voters within the party?
That's right.
Trump's doing that.
He is doing that.
All right, Buchanan's point is, if you marginalize those people, what happens to the party?
Look, the party is just going to be a different party. I don't think it's going to be radically different. It'll still be different from the Democratic Party, but it's going to be different. And the truth is, as you know, and everyone watching knows, a lot of the architects of the party, the people who have jobs with the party in Washington, say, well, we want new people in the party. Those people showed up, and the reaction was very much like, you know, the unwashed at a wedding to which they weren't invited. Like, who are these people? They're disgusting. Like, I don't want to be in the same party as these people. They're vulgar. They're dumb. They breathe through their mouths. Like, they're not welcome in this party. And the truth is, there are just a lot more of those people than there are, say, consultants in D.C.
Yeah, you know, you mentioned this about what the party establishment does. Lindsey Graham was sitting in that chair yesterday.
Yes.
He supports Ted Cruz. And
for the moment.
For now. We'll see what happens in mid-July. So Trump's hitting back at all these folks now with this spot on Instagram. Watch here.
Ted Cruz is just like any other politician. He says whatever he needs to say to get elected.
Ted Cruz is not my favorite by any means.
So, I mean, there you have two former candidates in this race who have since dropped out.
You know what would work a lot better? And I understand people's reservations about Trump. I understand their fear about Trump, for sure. I'm not denigrating that. It would work better to articulate their vision, right, to counter Trump's vision. You disagree with him on immigration? Okay, what should our policy look like? But they're not bothering to do that. Oh, he's a fascist. Go away. That's not going to happen. make a counter case. And it grieves me that intelligent Republicans with a grounding in philosophy haven't bothered to do that. Instead, they call them names, and that doesn't work.
No. Thanks for coming in today. Have a good weekend and a happy Easter to you.
Thanks, Bill.
Tucker Carlson.
Good to see you.
You too.